Matt, you got to read this on there. That's a great tweet by EC.
So I'm going to put this in sound polls, Bradley.
We were laughing about this.
Is this in English? Because, yeah, if it's in English, we should definitely watch this. Okay. But Izzy Bear Breen quote tweet. I'll just read his quote tweet. Israeli, I'm a fascist. New York Times. How on PC? Israeli, I'm literally a fascist. I'm a Nazi without the anti-Semitism. New York Times. Isn't this an interesting person? Israeli, I have killed and I will kill again. I kill for the joy of killing. New York Times. This conflict is so ancient and intractable.
Truly incredible. Great tweet by EC. And he's responding here to this New York Times interview with a West Bank settler. Now, it's only 16-second clip, so we may not get the full context here, but I just want to...
Oh no, we're taking a West Bank settler out of context.
I know. I don't care. Just by the fact that they're a settler, I
think we got some context.
Yeah, we have the context that we need. As the Biden administration is sanctioning a handful of Israeli settlers, so we're sanctioning 4 Israeli settlers basically, and he's just saying don't do any of these settlements. Israel's government announced yesterday that they're offering a $19 million pilot program to incentivize illegal settlements in the West Bank, and the settlers, again illegal under international law, will receive around the equivalent of $550 a month as a subsidy for them to illegally settle Palestinian territory in the West Bank. Here's this Times clip that EC was responding to.
נכון, אני לא יכולה לומר, אני באמת יכולה לומר לעצמי שיש בי משהו פשיסטי.
Sorry, I'll just go back and I'll put the board down. I'll read what she's saying here.
נכון, אני לא יכולה לומר.
Yes, I can admit that there is something fascist about me.
כאילו, אני לא...
I'm not hiding it. I don't believe there's any other way.
לא מאמינה שיש דרך אחרת, באמת.
Really?
Your uncensored lack of political correctness definitely shocked me.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
So shocking. That's the reality.
This is how the you know all those things that those screen grabs of the New York Times in the 1930s and how their coverage of fucking Hitler. It's this sort of dumb. I mean, how fucking infantile are our journalists? But you know, I just on the heels of that, I can admit that there's something fascist about me. This is we can say this is bad people. This is a product of a settler colonial society, and this is the exact same product that was produced in South Africa, and the exact same consciousness was reached, which is that this is only sustained and maintained through violence. And if you can pull that over, Bradley, just listen to the way this guy looks at it, and basically what he says here is look, we'll try to rationalize it to the polite world, but ultimately it's going to have to be violence.
Know that if there is not the strength of will on the part of the Afrikaner to follow the course he's chosen and to do it to a certain extent ruthlessly, although I would say he will always try to justify it vis-a-vis certain moral principles. But if this is missing, I mean, we have lost. Then we must capitulate. Then we have no policy.
The Afrikaner is of European stock. Our traditions are European, but we evolved a different set of traditions to suit our being an African people now. And we differ from the English in small respects, but we differ very greatly from the other peoples who inhabit this country.
Yes, I think that each man has been given his piece of country and the right to vote in his country, and that is fair.
Two-state solution.
Because if you have to put, if we have to say one man, one vote in South Africa and just leave it open, then the white is not going to get a fair share because he has contributed economically to making this country what it is today. And if you say tomorrow, one man, one vote, then he doesn't, there is no chance for him. So it's better that each person be given the chance to have his piece of country and decide how he wants to live and what he wants to do with his country there.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, there's no way for us to actually have democracy that includes those people, in that case, Black South Africans, and for us to still maintain our hegemony.
Yep.
That
our
was,
demographic, our privileged demographic.
that is the existential threat to the Jewish supremacy in Israel and in Israel Palestine, and then in South Africa the white supremacy there. And I mean, like, that is what has driven Israel to this particular point, is that fear of true democracy. So that's what's so perverse about calling Israel the only democracy in the Middle East.
Yep.
In fact,
It's a lie.
it is as anti-democratic as possible, because they literally cage in Gaza over 2 million people now that they're committing a genocide against them in a concentration camp to prevent them from participating in the democracy. And then in the ghetto of the West Bank, they also steal their homes and continue to take more and more land as a way to push out more of that demographic so that they can maintain their purity. And that is what Zionism has reached at this point. I mean, that was always, in the way that the project was pursued, the eventual reality. And now we are at that point, and it's taking a way too long for the average person in this country to catch up to the reality that Palestinians have been living under for so long.
Or the average New York Times reporter.
Yeah. Now that we are like a little bit more settled, let's play this because it was a quick clip, and if we want to put this out there, it's easy to pair these two together. Matt read this earlier, but I want to read it again because EC, friend of the show, had just a banger tweet about this. The Israeli says, "I'm a fascist." New York Times. How un-PC. Israeli. "I'm literally a fascist. I'm a Nazi without the anti-Semitism." New York Times. Isn't this an interesting person? Israeli.
It's a structure, New York Times. Come on.
"I have killed and will kill again. I kill for the joy of killing." New York Times. "This conflict is so ancient and intractable."
Exactly.
And this is the clip that they're responding to.
נכון, אני לא יכולה לומר, אני באמת
can
יכולה
admit that
לומר
there
על
is
עצמי
something
שיש
fascist
משהו
about me.
פשיסטי, כאילו, אני לא...
I'm not hiding it. I don't believe there's any other way. And she's right.
יש דרך אחרת, באמת.
And you know what?
They're uncensored.
There's no other way to have a Jewish supremacist state where you prefer one demographic to another. Like there's no. She's right about that. And the thing is we have to go the way that South Africa was, because the thing is, like, there's no other way. That way also doesn't work.
Yeah, and
it doesn't work. You're not gonna be able to do it.
Folks, the problem is not the ethnicity, really. I mean, it like Zionism is a sibling of white supremacy, but it's not the ethnic part of the ethnic nationalism. It's the nationalism, and like the settler colonial element of Israel, and the fact that they have become a heavily militarized population, with people living in abject poverty in the camp that's right across their border that they know nothing about. And they've been so thoroughly dehumanized to the point where, Crystal Ball had a great segment on this the other day, that I saw that Halal Flow republished, showing that, like, there was this profile in Haaretz, which has done great work from some of their journalists, at least, within the confines of what is acceptable in Israeli society. Certainly better coverage than, say, the New York Times. But they had this profile of Israeli settlers going into Palestinian homes and cooking in their kitchens, as if this was like some kitschy, cute profile of the, I don't know, entrepreneurship or the go-get-emness of these Israeli soldiers. And that just goes to show how, like, even in a more like left of center paper within the confines of Israeli society, Palestinians are so thoroughly dehumanized that we can just like make a cutesy story about someone's home being stolen from them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why even like one of the, like, Haaretz, Gideon Levy, who's, one of the good influence on Haaretz, is very pessimistic about whether change can come from particularly within Israeli society. And it's not, again, it's not to do with anything in regards to Israelis specifically. It's this, except that they are part of a structure which is this is the ultimate logic of it.
Yes.
Like it was never founded in a nice way, and it can't be maintained in a nice way. And so like we have to confront and the myths about it, the myths like even about 1948, like what did the Nakba even happen? Is there like that stuff is it's necessary because otherwise humanity realizes this is a crime. And this is something that needs reparation and not actual just billions of dollars more in weapons.